My name is Catherine Mwangi. Welcome to Life and Style. This is books and blogs for everyone who's been asking for where are the authors. So here we are. All of March, we want to celebrate our local authors. And today, to start us off this morning, is none other than a lady that is no stranger to this program. You've seen her before, sharing her insights on love and relationships. But did you know that she's an author of not just one, not two, but 3 books? 3 books. I don't know how you do it. Shalini Bhalla-Lucas, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Catherine.
So I just managed to carry 2 books today. I forgot the other one, but you'll get to know more about it. Always with you, online dating at 40. So women, I hope this is where you listen. Shali, this book, I finished it in a day. Saturday morning, by Saturday 4 o'clock I was done. I couldn't put this book down. And it's the story of your life.
It is, yes.
It's a super long story, but you say here it's a true story of love, loss, and hope.
Yes.
So we will tackle those 3 as you have indicated. We start with love, the love of your life.
Absolutely, the love of my life, Jeremy. I wrote this book actually in 2017. It was published in 2018. And the thread through the whole book is about our love story. It's about the loss that I endured, and then it is about the hope that I now have for the future.
Yeah.
So I met Jeremy in England when I was 21, and the minute I saw him...
I thought you're still 21, Shali. Let's not be modern. Like, Shali, are you sure you're not?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of makeup on this morning. Yeah, I met him when I was 21, and the minute I saw him, I knew straight away that this was the man I wanted to be with.
Yeah.
And he was the man next door. I was the girl next door. I bought the house next door to him. And yeah, it's a very cute love story, because he was a divorced man with 3 children.
Yeah.
And he was out in his garden playing with the children and their rabbits, and one of the rabbits came into my garden and was eating all my my plants.
It's such a funny story. Yes.
So I went over in I was really angry, going, who's eating, you know, whose rabbit is this? And I wanted this person to come and get his rabbit.
Yeah.
And, he opened the door, and I just literally, I was like this.
You forgot about the rabbit.
I forgot the rabbit. Plants, it all went out the window. And he was this really beautiful blue eyes, blonde, very smiley.
Yeah. Tall.
Yeah, kind, lovely person. And he was like, oh, hello, you live next door. And after that, it was just...
Yeah.
And yeah, that was it. That was the first meeting.
And you had 19 years of such a pure, authentic love.
Absolutely. He was my soulmate. And I don't use that word very lightly. He really was. We connected immediately. There were a lot of issues to begin with, because if you wrote down everything about Jeremy on paper, he was completely wrong for me. I was 21, just come from Kenya to England to study. I was Indian. My parents had such high hopes for me in terms of marriage and career.
Yes.
And he was divorced, 19 years older than me, had 3 children in tow. He was English. Yeah, you couldn't get worse.
So how did an Indian lady, and I'm hoping that Indian audiences do not think this is a stereotypical question, but how did an Indian lady decide to marry a white man? Like, isn't that like taboo in your culture?
Yeah, and it was. In fact, it was so tricky that my family disowned me for a long time, and I was estranged from much of my family for 12 years. Not all my family. Some. But like my parents and the immediate family, yes. It was just my aunt who supported me, and my sister. But you know, when you know it's right, and actually I say in the book that there were many times I broke up with Jeremy. I said to him, I came to Kenya to speak to my parents, they still wouldn't listen, and I said, and I went back to him and I broke up. I said, we can't do this. I can't disappoint my parents. They've given me everything for 21 years. They've given me an amazing life here in Kenya, a fantastic education. I owe it to them to do right by them. So I broke up with him, and then within a few days I said to him, no, I can't. I have to be with you.
When I read that story there, that bit you've described, where you said to him, everything you said, and and he went home and you were home and both of you were miserable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Super miserable.
Yeah.
But I like what you said in the book. If I can't remember it word for word, but you said, like, Jeremy wasn't going to come grovel.
No.
It needed to be your decision
Yeah.
to make.
Yeah.
And you went against all of that.
Yeah, he absolutely, I think it wasn't just he wasn't going to grovel, he wasn't going to put me in a position where I had to choose. He said, if this is what you have to do for your family, fine. It's not what I choose for us because I think we should be together. But you have to make that decision. And if you choose your parents, then I absolutely respect that. And he wrote me a letter, a beautiful letter saying exactly that.
Yeah.
And so for a few days I was like, okay, really strong. And then I just thought, no, I'm miserable. I know he's miserable.
Yeah.
He's right next door.
Yeah.
And I can't do this. We are supposed to be together.
Yeah.
Deep down, I knew that we
You
were
knew.
supposed to be
Yeah.
together. And I said, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So I went round to his house and I said, I choose you.
Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this. I choose you. And whatever happens, happens. The fallout, we'll figure it out. The thing is, I knew that together we would be able to figure out whatever it was. So yes.
And then you went on to enjoy blissful years, love.
Yes, I mean, it was not all fun and games. We had some tough times. The fact that I was estranged from my family caused a lot of mental health issues. So I suffered from depression. That was as a result of the estrangement, but also I had a very stressful job at the time. And Jeremy just didn't know how to deal with that. So eventually I was hospitalized for my depression. The one thing I can say was that he stood by me through thick and thin.
He was present.
He was there. He would come to the hospital every evening after work to see me, to make sure I was okay, to make sure I was, being looked after. And when I came out of hospital after a month, he took time off to look after me. So through that whole depression episode, he was there, and that strengthened our relationship. And that's when I, at the time, realized that the work I was doing within the hospitality industry was not sustaining me, it was not nourishing me. So I stopped and I went back to my first love, which was dance.
Dance? Do you want to show us something? Something.
Are you going to do
I knew you were going to go there.
Okay, put your hands out. So that's flag, and then fist, and then B.
B.
Yeah, so 2 fingers lifted, the little finger, and yeah. And then turn the hands so the palms facing the ceiling, and then your little finger towards you, lotus. That's it, good. Now change
Where's
one.
lotus?
That's a lotus flower.
Oh!
Yeah, it's a lotus flower, not the car, the flower. And then change one to B.
B, this is a B?
Yeah, so lift that.
Oh.
And so the B round the flower.
Wait, my flower is not, is not organized. What am I doing?
That's good.
Wow.
That's good. And then also if you put B, you can put your earrings on. Yeah, you can put your makeup on.
Is
Even
everything for you like a dance?
It's a story.
It's a story.
Yeah, life is a story.
And then you translate all that also into body movement.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, and then I teach that. So that
Yes.
was, so I went back to dance and I started teaching again. And I realized that, in fact, originally when I went back to dance, it was very much for myself. It was a healing process. It was a therapy for me. And then I realized how powerful dance was because I was beginning to live again.
Yes.
And in fact, in hospital, I played a bit of music one day, and when I played that piece of music, something in me moved. And I immediately stood up and I started dancing. But I was on a cocktail of so much medication that I could barely stand. I was shaking and I couldn't do all the movements and stuff. But it was the most powerful performance of my life because it was an internal performance.
Yes, yes.
And I realized just how powerful that was.
Yeah.
So then I set up my company, Just Joom, and trained 300 instructors around the UK to teach my style of dancing.
Wow.
And it was very popular, very successful,
Yes.
and it gave me the confidence to say, yes, I made the right decision personally, and I've made the right decision professionally.
Yeah.
And that's when I had that strength, that's when I decided to come back to Kenya to see my family.
So hold up. So what did you study in uni?
So I studied tourism education because I was going to do hospitality because my dad used to run restaurants in Nairobi.
Okay.
So I was coming back to run restaurants with him.
Okay.
But when I went to England and studied at the university and met Jeremy,
Everything changed. And then you went back to your first love as a child, which was dance.
Dance, yes.
Then you established a very successful dance business.
Yes.
Wow. And you got awards for it. Tell us about that.
So yes, I was awarded within the county that I was in as a business. We were awarded a Surrey Business Accelerator Award. I got the Asian Women's Award for the arts, which is a big award in England. And also within Cranley, the village I was in, I was shortlisted for awards. So yeah, I was very, very fortunate that the business, but also the hard work that I put in with my colleagues was acknowledged.
Did that make you feel validated by the choices you'd made?
It did, absolutely validated. I think it took that long for me to come back because I wanted to come back a success. I think also dance is not the good career for the good Indian girl. At that time, you were expected to go into business or be a doctor or an accountant or whatever. So to say I want to do something that's not the norm, and dance especially has got that kind of taboo element to it. So to then say this is the career I want to have was just unheard of at that time. Now it's very different.
But I don't get it because like that's what we know Indian women for. The dance, the Bollywood stuff we look at. The dance, man.
Yeah, but that's only now, in this last sort of 10 years or so. At the time I started, which was 2005, 15 years ago, it was still seen as, the classical dance was fine, the Bharatanatyam that I had learned, but to then go into a Bollywood style of dance was still not accepted very much. It was seen very much as something film artists did. It was seen as something that people danced in bars or at parties for money. So it was not considered a good career. But here I was changing that. And I changed that view in the UK as well by saying that actually dance is very healing, it can be used as an exercise, it's very rewarding. Yeah, so I changed that, and I think that's very important.
So what do you think made you so brave at 21 to go against the wishes of your parents, your community, not just your parents, your community, your culture? What do you call that?
I think there was some naivety of youth. I think when you're young, you do stuff that you just do. I don't really have, I can't explain it. Which there's a lack of fear as well that everything will be okay. I think also originally I thought that if I could convince my mom that this was the right relationship for me, she would stick by me. So when she didn't, I was completely shattered by that and bewildered by the fact that she had not stuck by me. I know that she had her reasons, I don't hold that against her, but at the time I thought that it would be fine. And also I come from, if you look at some of my family, I come from quite a liberal family, so I already had an aunt who had married an Irishman, I had a cousin who had married a Scottish woman, so I couldn't understand, I couldn't see that there would be a problem. So when it was such a big problem, I think it took me by surprise.
So love, relationship, beautiful things happening in your love life, in your business life. You came back home to try heal the rift with your family, and we now move to the loss.
Yes. So I'll just backtrack slightly. I called my father and I said I'm coming back to Kenya, and because I want to show Jeremy where I come from. And also my sister runs a conservation project here, and my sister Shivani and Jeremy were very close. He wanted to see where she worked, and by not showing him this part of my life, it was a big hole in our relationship, I think, because I knew everything about him. I knew where he was born. I was very much a part of his family with his mother and his children. So I felt that I needed that. So I called my father. I said, we're coming back and we will stay in a hotel, but I'm telling you because you are well known in Kenya and people will recognize that I'm your daughter and they'll say something. And my father said, no child of mine will stay in a hotel. You will come and stay with us. And my father was there to welcome us at the airport, and it was a reconciliation.
Wow.
And in fact, what happened then was that Jeremy and my father became very good friends. And there were days when my father would call me when we were in England and he'd say, oh, hi beta, beta means child. Hi beta, how are you? I'm like, hi Pop, I'm fine. He's like, where's Jeremy? And then I was like, oh, okay. And I'd give the phone to Jeremy, they'd speak for like 10 minutes and my father would say, Shalini, okay, yeah, and Jeremy would be like, yeah, it's fine. And then they'd put the phone down and I was like, nobody wants to speak to me? This is my father. So they became very good friends.
Really good friends.
So, so I was really thankful that happened because
that must have been very special.
It was special.
Yeah.
And then in 2014, Jeremy was diagnosed with cancer. And for us, it was it was devastating. But strangely enough, the time that we fought his cancer for 2 years was also the perhaps most powerful 2 years of our relationship.
How so?
We couldn't have got closer, emotionally, physically. We were just a team. So everything that had gone before had kind of prepared us for these 2 years. And yeah, we were definitely, we were fighting this cancer together in all ways, medically, spiritually, holistically, complementary therapies, you name it, we threw it at the cancer.
Yeah.
But it wasn't meant to be. 2 years later, in July 2016, Jeremy passed away. And it's still the most devastating thing that's ever happened and will ever happen in my life. I think, had you said on the day that he died, that you can choose, it's your life or his, I would have said take my life, because I loved him so much.
I read that in the book that you wanted it to be you and not him.
Yeah, because I could not imagine life without him. So for me, that was, I think he would have done grief better than me. I think he had a bigger, thank you, I think he had a great support system. He had his children, he had a very big network of friends. Whereas what I did was I locked myself away for a whole year. I became very reclusive. And for a whole year, I just didn't see anybody. And in fact, the only thing I'd go out for is 3 hours a week, I would go and teach a dance class. My dance classes, 3 of them. And that, again, is where my dance healed and helped.
That was your sanity.
It was. It was the only time that those 3 hours a week was the only time I felt normal. So, because at home, he wasn't there. Physically, he wasn't there. So to feel that utter loneliness, I can't explain it. It feels like a part of you is ripped out. And actually what's interesting is that my body began to react to it. My hair fell out, my teeth would hurt, my heart, I literally had a piercing pain in my heart. So it's such a, you know when you have like a shooting pain in your head with headache, that's how my heart felt. It felt like it was breaking. And when they talk about hearts breaking, it does happen.
Yeah, it does.
So that's what I felt. And it was a really grim time. I write about it very honestly in my book because I think we don't talk about death and grief enough. I knew he was dying, but I was in denial. When I look back on it now, it's like, of course he was dying. He was dying in front of my eyes. But I refused to acknowledge that. And till the moment he took his last breath as I held his hand, I thought he would pull through. Till that last breath. I was like, no, some miracle will happen because we are meant to be together. We had always said that we would, he always said, oh, I want to live to be 100. And I was like, oh my God, no, who wants to live to be 100? And I was like, okay, does that mean I have to live to be 80? And he goes, yeah, that would be ideal, you know, and then we can go together.
Do you have the strength to tell us about that last moment? I know it's in the book.
Yeah. I have a very strong belief that when you die, your physical body stops working, but your soul continues. So I believe that his soul went up. To have a good transition in death, you must have a very calm death. Some people will die in an accident, and that's not a calm way to die. Their soul is ripped out of their body. In this case, I wanted his soul to transition as smoothly as possible. When you're sitting with somebody who's dying, and he was in hospital and I was holding his hand, I had to say to him, let go. Let go of this body because you don't need it anymore. And the last thing you say to them is, please stay with me, because that holds their soul back. I needed to say to him, let go, because I will be okay, your girls will be okay, we will be okay. And so for 3 hours, I sat there. And I don't know where I got the strength, but I didn't cry. I wouldn't let his daughters cry. It was a very calm atmosphere, the lights were down. And it was just a feeling of, it's okay for you to go. And that's what I said to him for 3 hours. And then the minute he took his last breath, I cried.
We'll be right back.